Hey guys, welcome to the channel. So today we're going to be going over a new LED that we had developed. This is a dual color 5mm LED. So these are meant for like the V5 sequencers, Corso Motion, things like that. They can also just be standalone LEDs in a tail light. But maybe you don't have a lot of space, or you want to add them to a headlight for a sequential setup or something like that. You don't have a lot of space to do 2 rows and single color on each. This will allow you to do dual color using one LED. We have a batch that is common anode and common cathode, basically a common power and a common ground. So you can choose either one of those options. And then the color combinations that we have is amber and white, red and white, and amber and red. So those are the combinations. I did throw one together real quick in an Alumistatic panel that I had sitting around, just to kind of give you guys an idea. So like in this case, this would be our turn signal. And then we can switch right over to DRLs. Which will flash right back to that turn signal. And right back to that. Now obviously I am using all 3 in here, so you notice that the top is lighting up white, the bottom is not. Well, this is our amber red down here, and then these 2 are the amber and red with the white mixed. So obviously in your application you could make this entire top strip, do the turn signal, and then flash back to white. But it does give you a much better, it's basically a switchback LED. But you have to wire it into your controller. As well as our brakes right there. So we got the reds there for that. It just should give you a few more options as to your builds, especially if you're trying to cram a lot in a tight space. This is a great option. Couple little caveats to the design that we have right now, being that it is a common power or ground, depending on which application you choose. You do have to factor in that means that you cannot run these LEDs in series. So normally with an Alumistatic kit, you're running 12 volts to it. You might run anywhere between 3 and maybe up to 6 LEDs in a row, with the powers and the grounds running to each other, and some kind of a resistor in between to split that 12 volt between all the LEDs. That will not work in this case because these have a common ground. It will force all LEDs to be on if you were to do that. So the way that these are working currently, you will have to use a 5-volt inverter. You can run the inverter after the output. So from like the Ghost V5, you have the output power from the Ghost that goes to the LEDs, and then you have the ground switches that runs to each LED. So the way you would work on a Ghost, which is what I have here, I have the switches running to groups of LEDs, and then I have the power running to a 5-volt inverter, and then from that inverter it goes into the LED. And that way you can still mix and match if you want to do single color and you want to do the dual color. You can mix and match in your builds, but you will have to add a 5-volt inverter to that. We're hoping to be able to isolate the grounds on the LEDs. That'll be the next step if we can do it. But we were able to get these knocked out real quick, so we got them done. We got them on the website, and hopefully we'll add that in the future. You can still, so basically you'll have to run at 5 volt. You'll have to use a resistor. There's tons of resistor calculators out there you can figure out, but by and large it seems like, being that you're at 5 volts and it's regulated, you can use about 120 ohm resistor and it works pretty good, or a 150, but you can calculate. All the data that you need is on the packaging itself for the LEDs. Obviously white does have a higher voltage than the red and the amber, so you have to keep that in mind. But being that you're using a regulator, it is regulated voltage, so you don't have to worry about the car putting in too much voltage and accounting for that. So in this setup, I'm pretty sure everything here is a 150 or a 120 because that's what we had on hand. I think the nominal rating was around 100, and it might have been 90 ohms on the whites, but by all means, use the calculators and you can figure out what resistance to put. We did have to put a resistor on each LED. Now, if you have a higher wattage resistor than what we were having here, you could easily just group them together in like groups of 4 and then run one resistor to that group, and that would work as well. I did singles in this setup just to be safe, because this is messy, it's sloppy. I would do a lot better if this was an actual build. This is more of a proof of concept. Would it work with the Ghost? How does it work with the Ghost? Going over the basic idea of it, and it works perfectly. It works great. In addition to these, I do want to point out that we do have single color LEDs on the site as well, if you are looking for anything like that. We got the reds, the ambers, and the whites on that. We also have a new RGBW version of the addressable that is on the website. Video should be coming out on that soon. It's pretty similar to the RGB, but the pins are switched around a little bit, so you have to take note of that if you do end up using it. You can use it the exact same way that the RGB are used, but noting that the pin layout is different. The tall pin is actually the ground. The short middle pin is the power, and I'd have to look at the sheet to see if the inputs and outputs were flipped, but that is on the website. Everything is noted as to what is what. Also, we do have the new RGB 5mm that are in waterproof casings, and obviously the big demo for that was the headliner build that we did. We are selling them as kits on the website as well. The kits start at 500 LEDs with a SP801E controller, which is the same controller I used on my headliner. But if you just want to get a pack of 50, those are available as well without the controller. In the case of my headliner, I did use 1,000 LEDs, so keep that in mind. It was also a larger car with no moonroof. So, figure out about how many you're going to want to run. Obviously, the more dense your pixels are, the more LEDs that you put, the better imaging you can do. You can upload photos and things like that, and it will look better. But it will also be a lot more work and a little bit more money. So, kind of got to play with that a little bit as far as your spacing goes and how many LEDs you want to run. And of course, we also have the standard RGB addressables, but quite a lineup of options that we have on the site right now. I do have plans of getting the V5 sequencers and probably the Corso Motions at some point, just to have them on the website. But primary focus so far has still been on the addressable side, but this is something that we were able to bring out. It didn't exist yet, so we were kind of excited to be able to, well, it doesn't exist to the best of my knowledge. I haven't seen it anywhere else, but so we wanted to bring it out, get it here and on the website for you guys in case you guys wanted to use any of it. Thanks for watching the video. Stay tuned for the next one coming up.